Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, it is a Monday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. And on today's show, we're giving out some draft awards. We're going to look at the 2022 Tennessee Titans draft class and decide who is going to be the most productive rookie in year one for the Titans. Which Titans rookie has the best long-term potential, and which Titans rookie could be the most overhyped. We're giving out all those awards and more on a Monday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Titans fans, it is a Monday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, Sunday night. If you are tuning in on YouTube, thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. If this is your first ever listen to the Locked On Titans podcast, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream. You are going to find the Locked On Titans podcast free and available on all platforms. That includes the Locked On Titans YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe there, hit that notification bell so you know when all the content goes live, and throw a thumbs up on the video. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you can follow me on Twitter at TicTacTitans. You can follow the show on Facebook at Locked On Titans Pod. It is a Monday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We're going to do some 2022 Tennessee Titans NFL draft class superlatives today, and today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. But diving into these superlatives, number one, which Tennessee Titans rookie is going to be the most productive for the team in year one? I'm not talking long-term. I'm not talking 2023. I'm talking in 2022. Which of these rookies will be the most productive? Now, remember last year. Let's get it, Zay. I appreciate that. Ricky, tighten up. Which Titan do you think will be the most productive in year one? Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter at TicTacTitans if you're listening to the podcast. But for me, remember last year's class, who ended up being the most productive rookie, which is actually one that I called, not to pat myself on the back, but to pat myself on the back at the same time, was Elijah Molden, who was a fourth-round pick. Didn't think you would get a ton out of a slot corner, a smaller corner like that, but Elijah Molden carved out a big-time role for the Titans as an early down corner. So you think about that, and you realize that sometimes the rookies who are most productive in year one aren't necessarily the high draft picks, especially the Titans draft class. You look at Treylon Burks, who could get eased into the offense and really just fed some schemed up throws early on until he gets more comfortable as an outside route runner. And then Roger McCreary, probably not going to play over Elijah Molden. So to bring that reference back in here, Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, I don't expect to be a starter on the offensive line in year one. And Malik Willis certainly isn't going to be the starter early on. So for me, I think the guy who really could be the most productive for the Titans in year one is Kyle Phillips. I think Kyle Phillips could have a defined role for the Titans as the third down guy. I think Kyle Phillips can overtake the Chester Rogers role. And you know what, Ricky? I agree with you. It says right here, Burks better be. And I agree, it would be best for the Titans if Treylon Burks was the most productive rookie in year one. But for some reason, things just don't always work out and go according to plan. To me, I think Kyle Phillips has a real shot at being the most productive rookie for the Titans. I could see him like an Anthony Firkser having 40 catches, 400, 500 yards, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns. I absolutely could see that for the Titans. And if Burks, starts slowly with the outside route running, I think that Phillips has a chance to early on make a big impact. Now, if I had to give you my number 2 option, it's obviously Treylon Burks. And for the Titans' sake, Burks would be the best option. So I'm not going to sit here and argue if that's what you guys want to go with. But I could really see Kyle Phillips carving out a defined role as that third down slot and finding a way to get 40 catches, 450, 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, being really solid for the Titans. The next one that I want to talk about here is which Titan from the draft class has the most upside. Biggest upside of any player in the Titans draft class. It's obviously Malik Willis. Obviously, Malik Willis. He has the ability to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL if things go correctly. Okay? I think Treylon Burks has the ability to be a top 10 receiver in the draft. In the NFL. I think it's possible. But you look at the traits that Malik Willis has and how it separates him from other quarterbacks in the NFL. He has the kind of traits that a lot of the top 5, top 7, top 8 quarterbacks in the NFL has. So if all of these guys got to their best potential, obviously to me, Malik Willis has the highest upside. The last one I want to do in this first segment here is the guy in the Titans draft class that has the potential to be the biggest bust. And for me, guys, obviously, I don't want any of these players to be a bust at all. So don't get me wrong here. But looking at the category and looking at the picks, I think Nicholas Petit-Frere has the potential to be the biggest bust for the Titans. At pick 69, he was still a higher pick in the top 70. And if he doesn't put on weight and he doesn't have the ability to anchor against the bull rush, he could slide inside, potentially. But again, he needs some weight to hang on against those big-bodied guys up front. If he can't hold on with the speed rush on the outside, I think there's potential here for Nicholas Petit-Frere to just be okay as an offensive lineman. And with where he was taken and what the Titans are hoping to get and where they're at in terms of their offensive line, they're hoping for him to be an impact eventually. So I think that Nicholas Petit-Frere probably has the most bust potential. I can see him just being a run-of-the-mill backup offensive lineman and not really what the Titans are looking for. But again, I don't want any of these guys to bust, and hopefully everybody within the draft class works out. But we're going to look at which Titan has the best long-term potential, who could be a sleeper for the Titans. Also, we're going to look at the least likely Titan to make the team from the draft class towards the end of the show. Before we get into all of that, though, I do want to tell you guys about BetOnline.net. BetOnline continues to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info for all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including information on this year's basketball playoffs, the Major League Baseball season, all the fights, even next year's NFL futures. Make sure you go to betonline.net. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs to esports and more. Head to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more about all the trends and all the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Titans fans, we're going to continue this Sunday night, if you're watching on YouTube, edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We're doing some NFL draft superlatives, looking at the Tennessee Titans draft class, who could fill certain roles, who could step up, who could be a bust, who could be a sleeper. We're going to get into even more. Before we do, I do want to thank you guys again for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. If this is your first ever listen, make sure you subscribe. I'm pumping out Monday through Friday, daily free Tennessee Titans content, not only during the season, but all year long. We just talked about who I think could be the most productive rookie in year one for the Titans. I think Kyle Phillips has a real chance. The biggest upside from the Titans class, I think it's obviously Malik Willis. And the biggest chance to be a bust for the Titans, I had to go with Nicholas Petit-Frere on the offensive line. Although, again, I don't want anybody in the Titans draft class to be a bust. But moving forward here, the next one I want to get into is the best long-term potential for the Titans. Who has the most long-term potential? I'm thinking 5, 6, 7 years down the road. And for me, it's obviously Treylon Burks. I think while Malik Willis has the highest upside in terms of how good of a player he could be long term, I think the Titans have the chance to get the most productive, highest upside career out of Treylon Burks at wide receiver. Obviously, he's got all the physical skills you would want: the size, the speed, the coordination, the body control. But if he can progress as a route runner, learn the intricacies of playing wide receiver in the NFL, not only in the slot, but out on the boundary as well. I think with all the potential he gives as a gadget player, as a quick throw player, as a screen player, and then also if he adds in that route running to be a complete wide receiver, I think the most long-term potential to get 5, 6, 7 years of top-tier play comes from Treylon Burks. And I think that's obviously what the Titans are banking on when you make the trade for A.J. Brown to get 18 and hope to get Burks to replace him. The next thing that I want to get into here is, though, who could be the sleeper from the draft class? And maybe this is, I'm projecting onto the fan base when I do this. It's definitely a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out. But I think based on the coverage of the draft for the Titans, I think based on fan reaction for the Titans, that the sleeper in this draft class is clearly Roger McCreary, cornerback out of Auburn. And let's just have a quiet moment together, all of us together. Everybody come in. Yeah, come in here. You too, come in. I think that there's a better chance than we all want to accept that Caleb Farley doesn't work out. I don't like saying it out loud, guys. I don't. Forgive me. But with the injuries, with a guy that size at his position is just unusual. With the way that he played last year when he was on the field, I don't want to say it out loud, too loud, guys. I don't want to say it too loud. I just think that McCreary has a potential. And Mike, this is for you. Mike, you know that I'm talking to you. Maybe McCreary, who was flat out awesome at Auburn, playing in the SEC, going up against some of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now. Maybe Roger McCreary is actually the long-term answer across from Christian Fulton. I said it. I'm sorry. Maybe that's the case. I hope not. Again, I hope not. I hope Caleb Farley turns into the first-round pick that the Titans hope that he is, coming off the ACL, coming off the back. I hope so. But we have to at least acknowledge that maybe he won't. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Tighten up, David. I'm with you. So if that is the case, then I think Roger McCreary could have a much bigger role on this team and a much bigger role in this defense than any of us realize right now. Coming live from Amon Jordan, like the country of Jordan? David, that would be cool. I know, I feel it. He better not. And guys, I'm with you. It would be an absolute disaster if Caleb Farley didn't work out. But I think this McCreary pick, while I believe that long term he's like the Titans' third down slot guy, again, for you, Mike, maybe he works out as an outside corner. And maybe he's more Caleb Farley insurance and less of the third down slot guy than we want to admit. Man, that's crazy, David. I'm honored to have someone listening to me in Jordan. Get out of here, man. Humbled to say the least. Thank you guys all so much for your support. Cannot appreciate everyone who listens enough. Thank you. But yeah, so to me, it's obvious the sleeper is Roger McCreary. The last award I want to give out in this section is who will have the biggest year 2 leap for the Titans. So from year 1 to year 2, who will have the biggest leap in their talent? Let me know who you think down in the comments, or let me know on Twitter at TikTok For me, this was one of the more obvious answers. A guy who I think could come in, have a limited role, maybe 15, 20, 25% snaps, maybe even 30 in his rookie season, and then come out in year 2 and not only be tight end 2, but be tight end 1. And that's Chig Okonkwo out of Maryland. I think Chig, if he puts, he says Elijah Molden. Well, I'm talking about the rookies. Elijah can't count. But if Chig can put on some weight, he has the willingness, he has the mentality, he has the physical nature to block the way the Titans want him to block. Okay? He needs to put on some weight. Yeah, he's got all that speed, all that burst, all that explosiveness. Yes, of course. But that comes with a downside, and that's he's not a very big player. So he's got to put on some mass. And the way that his body is built, man, what a freaking Adonis. Hercules level is what we're looking at with Chig Okonkwo. Literally, getting chiggy with it. Nah. All right, cringe. I know. I'm sorry. But the point is, he adds that weight onto his body. He adds that mass, that strength. He has the way his body is built, he can carry all that and not lose speed and explosiveness. I think Chig Okonkwo from year 1 to year 2 has the potential to explode. So that's my pick for biggest year 2 leap. So most productive year 1, I'm going Kyle Phillips. Biggest upside, I'm going Malik Willis. Biggest bust potential, I'm going Nicholas Petit-Frere. Best long-term potential, I'm going Treylon Burks. Biggest sleeper, I'm going Roger McCreary. And biggest year 2 leap, I'm going Chig Okonkwo. I have the least likely Titan to make the team out of the draft class. I have the most overhyped Titans rookie, and I have the most likely to make the Pro Bowl first Tennessee Titans rookie as well. All of that in just a moment. Before we get into it, do want to tell you guys about rockauto.com. Rockauto.com is a family business that's been serving auto parts customers for over 20 years. They have everything you could ever need for your car or truck in their easy to navigate online catalog. You can quickly go through all the brands, specifications, and prices that you prefer. They have everything from brake parts to tail lamps to motor oil, even brand new carpet. So make sure that you go to rockauto.com today, see all the parts available for your car or truck. And when you make your purchase, make sure that you put Locked On in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that I sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all of the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Titans fans, we are going to cap off this Monday or Sunday night, if you're watching on YouTube, edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We're going through my 2022 Titans draft class superlatives. We've gone through a ton of awards already. If you missed any of those, make sure to check out the show at the beginning. If you're jumping on live right now, I want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. If this is your first ever listen, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream. As for your second listen, make sure you check out the Locked On NFL podcast. You get all your Tennessee Titans news here with me in under 30 minutes every single day. Pair that with getting all of your NFL national news in under 30 minutes every day with the Locked On NFL podcast. It's free and available on all platforms, including the Locked On NFL YouTube channel. I am actually the host of the Thursday Locked On NFL show. I've done Thursday and Friday actually back-to-back weeks, so I'm slowly taking over the entire week. So make sure you guys subscribe. I appreciate all the support over there, but let's continue these superlatives today. If you're just joining in now, the most productive in year 1, Kyle Phillips. Biggest upside, Malik Willis. Biggest bust potential, Nicholas Petit-Frere. Best long-term potential, Treylon Burks. Biggest sleeper, Roger McCreary. Biggest year 2 leap from Chig Okonkwo. Now, I want to talk about the least likely Tennessee Titan in the draft class to make the roster. I got to tell you, this is low-hanging fruit, guys. I get no credit whatsoever for this. I'm actually ashamed, quite frankly, that this is my pick, but I couldn't help it. I just had to go with the easiest possible answer, and it's Chance Campbell. the linebacker out of Ole Miss. I mean, while I hope that Chance does well in camp, and I hope he carves out a role, and I wouldn't be mad at all if Chance Campbell beat out Dylan Cole for linebacker 4. Heck, I wouldn't even care if Chance Campbell made it as linebacker 5 behind Dylan Cole, and the Titans kept 5 inside linebackers. That's fine. I mean, obviously, it would be great if he was way better than expected and he beat out Monty Rice and he became, a David Long type guy coming out of the 6th round. Then great. Fantastic. But the reality is, with David Long, with Zach Cunningham, with Monty Rice, with Dylan Cole, the odds of the Titans keeping an inside linebacker in Chance Campbell are a little bit lower. They're just a little bit lower. The Titans need another swing offensive tackle in Nicholas Petit-Frere. They need Treylon Burks. Come on. They need Malik Willis. Come on. Hassan Haskins. I think they need Hassan Haskins. They need that backup power back. The Titans need Kyle Phillips. So, to me, it was either between Theo Jackson and Chance Campbell, and I'm high on Theo Jackson. I think he can be a better pro than he was a college player. So for me, the least likely to make the team for the Titans is Chance Campbell, which is their last draft pick. So don't give me any credit for that one. Next, though, which rookie is the most overhyped? Which Titans rookie is the most overhyped? And I know you guys are going to kill me for this one, and I can't help it. I just got to be honest. My answer is a player who may be overhyped because of me. Because of me. I might be part of the problem. Okay? I picked him to be the most productive rookie in year 1. It's obviously Kyle Phillips. People are expecting him to come in, and I just said that he might be the most productive rookie in year 1. I think that might be nuts. I think that truly might be nuts. Kyle Phillips is a 5th-round rookie, a smaller player who impresses when the pads aren't on and they're not being physical. I like Phillips too. I like Phillips. I see you, Pistol. I like Phillips too. I do. But we're talking about Kyle Phillips. I said he might be the most productive rookie in year 1. Again, I might be part of the problem. I don't think it's insane to think that Mason Kinsey beats him out and takes that spot. And Phillips ends up on the practice squad all year while Mason Kinsey fills that role. So I'm out here saying Kyle Phillips could be the most productive Titans rookie in year 1. People are talking about Phillips like he could do better than Treylon Burks in year 1. I think there's pretty heavy odds that Mason Kinsey does what everybody thinks Kyle Phillips is going to do. Even though Kinsey is a much smaller guy, and that's why Phillips is a guy who got drafted and Kinsey wasn't. Kinsey is 5'7", 5'8". Phillips is 5'10", 5'11", and they're very similar. Phillips may be even more explosive, quite frankly. So while I don't think that's what will happen, I think it's obvious that maybe Kyle Phillips is being hyped up just a little too much. Just a little too much. He'll probably be the Titans' 4th or 5th wide receiver at best. So maybe the hype was too much. Maybe not. Maybe I was right the first time. But the last superlative that I want to give out here. Which Tennessee Titans rookie will be the first to make a Pro Bowl? What's the obsession with Kinsey? I don't know. He's just a hardworking guy who was really, really productive in college. I think production is really what gets people going. You see a guy be real productive in college, you think, okay, he's productive. He gets it done. But sometimes it's not always how it works out. There's nothing ironclad in the draft process or the prospect process. You can never point at anything and say, okay, he's going to be this kind of player because of this. You can't do that. But I think the production with Mason Kinsey coming out of Berry College, one of the most decorated and productive college players of all time, and I think that's really why. But to finish things off, The Titan I think that will be first to make a Pro Bowl is Treylon Burks. I think Treylon Burks can make a Pro Bowl in year 2. I think Malik Willis would make a Pro Bowl in year 3 for him, which would be his second year playing, maybe his first year playing, quite frankly. I don't think Hassan Haskins is going to get enough work to ever have a chance with that. Same thing with Chig. Same thing with Phillips. Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, I guess I don't really see him being Pro Bowl level on the Titans offensive line going forward. Same thing with McCreary. He's going to be a role player in the Titans defense. So I think the first to make a Pro Bowl is going to be Treylon Burks. I think Treylon Burks makes a Pro Bowl within the first 3 years of his career. He's going to have more opportunities to do it with how much he's going to play in his rookie year compared to like Malik Willis or Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, Hassan Haskins, or Roger McCreary. I think Burks is going to have the biggest opportunity to do that. And quite honestly, yeah, Burks maybe because he's going to get day 1 reps. Yeah, exactly. So I think Burks is the right answer with who has the best chance to be the first to make a Pro Bowl. I think Treylon Burks does make a ton of sense. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Tomorrow, it is going to be a Twitter Tuesday here on the show. I'm going to be taking mailbag questions from the podcast and Twitter crowd. We did a live mailbag last time, so I'm going to switch it over. Send me your questions on Twitter at TicTacTitans. I'll be going over all of them tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. That's going to do it for me today, though, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.